Welcome, everybody. We'll be starting shortly. Thank you for being here. Less than a minute to go. Actually, it's right now. I'll share my screen. And currently, none of the JV partners are on the webinar, so that means I have to just start coming up with great ideas myself. The challenge is there. Okay, so here's a couple of things since last week that have come up that I thought would be interesting to talk about, and that is one of the things that I've been doing is I run sort of a couple of big events now that I do on a regular basis, and one is the Fred Info Boot Camp, and that is a 7-day event. And now I'm starting to do a lot of the Fred personal boot camps, which is where I get people together, and basically it's a 3-day thing, one-on-one. And this has been a good thing because it accommodates people's schedule a lot more easily and allows them to sort of pick the weekend they want rather than fitting into my schedule. And these I do quarterly. The ones up here are every quarterly. And these are sort of whenever there's time for both of us. So anyway, this has been a big, and I just want to show you, if I can here, let me just show you what the Fred personal boot camp now looks like. So I put one of the first people to come through this, got his video from Nick Shelton, and so I put it up, and so I made it a fairly short site, and this is what that looks like now. So you may want to take a look at that at your leisure to see how you might be able to adapt and adopt that for your own purposes. That, of course, very different from the Fred Info Bootcamp.com, which has an auto start on the video. So I'll stop that right away if I can. Hello. Seems to have locked up there. Let's see what's going on here. There it is. I'll press stop. Okay, so these are two sites you should look at to be able to, to sort of compare the two and gain an understanding. This is the long 1-week one, and the other one is the 3-day weekend one-on-one event. So you should look at that and look at both of those and get an idea for how you may be able to adapt and adopt those to your own information marketing business. Good news for one of my JV partners, which is, let me just give you a little bit of history on Bill DeWeese, he's got the voice-over-training.org site, and Bill is he's just finished writing, and I think we looked at this last week as well, but this is something you should know about sort of how Amazon works. First off, the first thing he did was we put together his book, which is How to Build a Six-Figure Voiceover Career. And we did that by doing an interview. When he came out to Vegas, we sat in a hotel room and I interviewed him for a number of hours, and that ended up creating the shell. At first we had just a Q&A question and answer transcript. And we moved that out through the Kindle. So we put that up on the Kindle store immediately. So the Kindle store had this in sort of its raw form. In fact, if you look at the reviews for this particular, I go to Amazon and I put in, just want to show you how this worked here. So Bill DeWeese in Kindle store. So initially, this was just, we threw this up as a transcript, and in fact, some of the first comments realized this is a transcript, which it is no longer. So this comment is no longer valid, because what we did is we then we wanted to get it up as quickly as possible, so we got it up quickly, and we did that via the transcript. Then what we did is we gave it to an editor who did their work. So we created the edited version of the transcript, We then changed the Kindle Store offering to reflect the new version. And then what we did is we contacted Create Space, which creates the physical version of the book. And now, just to let you know how this works, is dealing with Create Space is always a challenge. They aren't particularly customer service oriented for a number of reasons. I'm sure the number of people I have coming through there is one of the reasons as well. But Create Space allows you to create a really good looking physical version of your books. But by the way, back before we even did the transcript, and I better put this up here, we got someone, specifically Steve at Vector, Steve, to design a book cover. Now, the reason why we did this first is it's always great to have a book cover because it sort of inspires you to finish doing your book. So we got Steve at Vector, and Vector is VECTYR.com. And if we go there, let me just show you this, vector.com. He should have a number of the books, and here it is, this one. So here is the cover that he did for Bill DeWeese. So we got the book cover designed. We then recorded a question and answer version of his material. He came up with, and the question and answer, Bill created an extensive outline of his stuff. Then we got the question and answer together. We did the transcript. We threw up the transcript in the Kindle Store in its raw form. Then we gave that transcript version to an editor who did their work and put it into a quote-unquote real book. We then changed the Kindle Store offering to reflect the new version. Then we went to Create Space to create the physical version of the book. Again, realizing that they are kind of difficult sometimes to deal with. We are now waiting for them to let us know when the physical version will be available for sale, which is, again, longer than it should be. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. So we've got all these pieces in place now. So we've gone from basically the ideas in Bill's head to having him put together, having Steve put together a book cover, Bill creating an outline of all the stuff in his head, to us recording the question and answer session, creating the transcript, which, by the way, question and answer, we then sent the audios to a person on Fiverr, I think, to transcribe, and then we created the transcript. Avish, how are you?
Hey, good, Fred. How are you?
Good. So I'm just going through the steps that what happened in terms of Bill DeWeese and his book. And so I'm just saying that we first got Steve to design the book cover, even before we got Bill to create his outline, and we did a question and answer session. I then sent the audios to a person on Fiverr to transcribe them. They created the transcript. The Kindle Store, we put the transcript up in a raw form. After that, we gave it to an editor who did their work and edited the book, made it much more non-transcripty. And then we changed the Kindle Store offering to reflect the new version. We then took the combination of the book cover, which we now see here on the screen, combined that with the edited version, and got it over to Create Space to create the physical version of the book. And we're now waiting for them. Surprise, surprise. It's been 2 weeks, so I don't know what's going on. So now probably Bill has got to contact those folks. But we now have, for Bill, a real, and it's kind of cool because he's got, I don't know if you saw this or not, Avish, last time, but, they said it was a bestseller and within the category. Let's see if it's still selling well. It's number 4 in general broadcasting. For a while, it was number 1 in the category of general broadcasting, but it's still doing quite well. I don't, Bill hasn't even had time to tell me what his numbers are in terms of number of units sold, but I'm sure it's been pretty good. I'll bet that he sold last month because of his one event that he did for this voices.com group. I'm sure he may have sold 100 of these, so that's kind of nice. But the progression has been from idea to book cover to outline to Q&A to transcript to then physical books. So I really think the message here is that you can get books done quickly if that's what you need to do, going through this whole process. So if you need to, look at this now or watch the recorded version once I get it up on the site. And that's where we stand right now. So I think that, and the reason why, the other thing is that one of the things that Bill and I discussed this week was that when you get started with your information marketing business, you really don't know exactly where it's going to go. So you have to sort of be customer driven. For example, in Bill's case, Bill, in addition to selling info products about how to get into the voiceover business, has also become a demo producer. And he offered that as one of his services, not realizing that last week Bill did, I think, 5 demos at over $1,000 a piece.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he's charging like $1,200. That's the actual amount. So really what we're finding is by getting into the niche, we're sort of finding out what people are willing to pay for. And so when he offers that, and he offers that as one of his many services. In fact, if we go to his site, I wonder under products or services if he has that listed here. He doesn't even have that. We should probably list that as one, or maybe, let's see, coaching. Maybe he has that. Does not have that up. So again, this is something that he brings up whenever he does his things, that he does produce demos, and he's getting a lot of that kind of work. Point is, you really never know where people are going to sort of gravitate to, when you first get your business going. And the other thing that's so cool about, the voiceover business is that he just told me that yesterday, someone who got started, so picture this, Avish, someone who got started with Bill DeWeese less than 30 days ago just landed doing the voice work to a major motion picture that's coming out.
Really?
Yeah. So the idea here is that it's kind of cool when you're in a business that you can show people. And by the way, he always, he sends people to is it acx.com? I think it is. So acx.com is where, Amazon is on a mission to get everybody and their brother to produce, books. The problem is, in doing that, they have now produced a huge volume of physical written works that are not in audio form. And so this is where you can, are you an actor or producer? Already have an audio, blah, blah, blah. So in other words, you can become a person within the next 30 days using Bill's material that can take the printed word that people have written and turn them into audiobooks. And you can do that within the first month. And so it's a pretty interesting thing that he's done. So he's finding out that he's getting people, once the demos are produced, he then gets people, that kind of work. So it's kind of satisfying to see people actually give you money and they get results, which is always a good thing. And again, his popularity, I've been working with Bill for, it'll be coming on, I guess June will be about 2.5 years. And so his progress has been slow and steady. And this year, in 2013, it's probably going to be for him somewhere in the neighborhood of about $50,000 in info products. And we're shooting for 2014 at the level of about 100,000. And then 2015, our goal is a little bit more ambitious there, to go to $250,000 for him. And which, thank you, Bill, very much, is also giving me a piece of that action. And so this is this is the progression. But if you take a look at it, if now we're at year 2.5, 2.5 years, 3.5 years, 4.5 years, and I've said this before, so between 4 to 5 years, depending on what field you're in and what you're doing, it is possible to build a large part/full-time income doing this. And but the problem is most people aren't willing to put in the time. And then there are also certain niches, and this doesn't mean that every niche can produce that. As Avish and I are learning, sometimes the niches, depending on where we are, can take a little bit more time. But a lot of it has to do with notoriety in your field, which then translates into traffic, and traffic then translates into conversion and sales. And so that's the kind of thing that you have to figure out. So that oftentimes, what you may first start out doing may not end up being what you end up doing more regularly. But it's, certainly it's there. And so I think that it's a good example of how patience, is definitely a virtue here. So just like Avish and I were talking about earlier this week, that there's, a lot of effort is going into, regular blog posts and things like that, and you get a little bit frustrated because you don't see the results. Again, I'm paying someone to do 4 blog posts a day through the end of June. She started doing these for me 1st of January, and there are now, a ton. Every time I look, I just go, oh man, there's new blog posts. Yeah, there better be. There are 4 a day that are being put up. So this is, this is significant in terms of the amount of work, but the results are pretty good. Again, I'm going to report to you what my exact numbers are, but it's it's coming. So Avish, let's see what else. I think that when you look at the numbers, again, you got a couple spikes there, but there really hasn't been any big surge in numbers. To my recollection, about 150 or so people a week, right?
There was one surge in there, but other than that, about between 160 to 167, or 160 and 170.
Got it. So sort of like
relatively steady, except when I really let holidays or something where I just kind of drop off completely for a couple weeks, then it drops a little bit, but other than that, it's been pretty steady.
Got it. And so with 160 now, what are the, how many opt-ins do we have now total?
The easy goes out from a variety of places, so the total email list is about 2,600.
Okay, so 2,600 on the list. And how often are you emailing that list?
Once a week.
Got it. And how many unsubscribes are you getting?
Not too many. I mean, it's fewer than 10, certainly, probably fewer than 5, I feel like.
Okay. Now, remember my old rule of thumb here, which is that from the 2,600 people on the email list, we should be able to get somewhere between a dime and $1 per person per month. So that means we should be able to get somewhere between $250 and $2,500 per month from this list. Now, so that means the next question would be, if we're mailing this list weekly, how many of those emails contain some kind of a buy this now message?
Probably at least 50%. I mean, they're all digest based, so like at the top is usually some kind of announcement or ad, like, hey, check out this thing we're doing, or this product, or this affiliate thing. And then it's kind of the links to, say, 4 blog posts from Speaking Expert blog, and then below that are links to a few just cool articles from around the web. So everyone's got an ad at the top and bottom for something we're promoting.
Got it. And so for example, in the last 3 months or so, how much revenue have we generated from the 2,600 people list?
Well, frankly, I don't know if any of it is actually from the list, but I think we've sold. Let me see. I have a catalog somewhere. I believe it's only been like 2 products for a total of about $100.
Got it. So in the last
One
90 days,
of which I know is off the autoresponder because they used a $20 coupon I put in one of the autoresponders that goes out.
got it. So one of the things that we may want to try and do, especially since we have such a low unsubscribe rate, is be a little bit more, maybe in the middle of each of the e-zine or the e-zine blast or the email blast, to put in there something that's a little bit more kind of salesy. Put in another kind of thing that they could purchase, whether it's from us or an affiliate thing. For example, every time and I could actually go to my I don't know if it's on this computer or not. But I just think of the two things for me. But again, I've been doing these for, if you look at Web Marketing Magic for me, that's been now 10 years. And Ultra Cheap Domains, that's been probably 6 years. And with Web Marketing Magic, this is producing close, 5 figures monthly. And this is producing at least 4 figures monthly. So this is the kind of thing that if we can find, something that is an ongoing revenue. By the way, you're set up as an affiliate for Web Marketing Magic, right, Avish?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you aren't,
I was, but I'm not sure since I don't have since. I gotta look into that.
Yeah, well, you should see if you aren't. By the way, to do that, and this would hold true for anybody if they're on Marketing Magic. What you do is you go to the main site and you go down here to where it says resellers, and then it says here, if you'd like to become an affiliate partner, click here. You click here and it has you fill out some information, and then it sends you a thing. And that I don't think as a reseller you have to do this for $3.95. I don't think that's something's wrong there. Hold on. Reseller. If you'd like to become an affiliate partner, click here. I have to ask Stanley about that. Because why should that then send me to the $3.95? I don't know. Or create. Anyway, so good thing for me to check on there because that's not right here. So anyway, with these two items, there's some automatic money. So Avish, I think that you should get set up as. And are you set up with? I mean, do you have a? Let's go to the other one. Are you sell domains for profit? Do you have one of those?
No, I did not sign up as that reseller account.
Yeah, I mean, these two things. If you're using me as the model, over this amount of time, it's producing a lot of revenue. Again, patience thing. But I mean, for you, the Web Marketing Magic thing, you should definitely be set up as. I mean, you've got people there that are probably buying this from somewhere else that should be buying it from you.
Mm-hmm.
So I would set that up.
That's true. I can never get stuff on there.
Yeah, I would set that up right away. And this one, it really doesn't take, a lot of effort. This, $99 or whatever it is, it takes a while to recoup that if you're just starting. But once it gets started, ask anyone. Think about if you ask people who own domain names and have them reserved at whichever one they're using, hopefully Ultra Cheap Domains, because when you start, Ultra Cheap, when you start reserving a domain name somewhere, very, very seldom do you switch. So what happens is once you get this, it's very similar to the people who are in the life insurance business or any insurance business, where once you start with an insurance agent, you very, very seldom say, forget it, I'm going to go to another agent, move all your business. What happens is people set up their domain names, they set up their their shopping cart and autoresponder system, the Web Marketing Magic type system through someone, and This, I mean, with Web Marketing Magic, the beauty of it is for me is that for people to leave the system, especially if they have a lot of products and services, would require an incredible amount of work going through any and all of their websites, disabling all the links. It makes it so that you really do put golden handcuffs on someone. So this program, the Web Marketing Magic and the Ultra Cheap Domains, are extremely sticky. It's very, very difficult. Once people are on board with them, it's very difficult for them to get off. I mean, they're good programs, so I'm not worried about that. But it really makes it so that it's difficult for them to extricate themselves. So this one being free, Avish, that's a no-brainer. This one being, $99, I would say that given, it may take, in your case, maybe 6 months for you to get back the money. But once you get it back, it probably is going to then, pay for itself on an ongoing basis year after year after year and throw off additional revenue. So, I mean, it's just like when I talk to people about doing the stuff on the Kindle store, the kdp.amazon.com. I mean, it's, again, that continues to give me about $500 monthly. And I'm just looking for ways that I can just add this to this to this, whatever these things are, and just find things that give me a little bit of money every month and over time end up totaling a lot of money. So, Avish, I think that's the way for us to best monetize that list.
Mm-hmm.
Is by looking at all the various possible things there. And this is, again, it's once you have them on the Web Marketing program or the Ultra Cheap Domains program, or once you put up your kdp.amazon.com stuff, which, by the way, let's look at this for me just to show you what my numbers are here. Okay, I sign in. And again, I literally haven't looked at this. I haven't done anything with this for 6 months. I've done nothing. Absolutely zero. Meaning zero. No time. I've spent no time. So month-to-date unit sales. Let's look at the prior 6 weeks royalties. This is the prior 6 weeks. $524. 6 weeks. That's about $100 a week or so. Again, no work. Zero. So once you have, things up and running in some of these areas, it continues to provide ongoing revenue with literally these, the Web Marketing Magic and Ultra Cheap Domains with no work. So anyone who's in information marketing should go to Web Marketing Magic and sign up and get, become a reseller. Should go to, and this one to get to Ultra Cheap Domains, go to selldomains.com and get set up there. Go to kdp.amazon.com and put up some ebooks and start selling those. There's just little things you can do that can provide ongoing revenue. I love looking at my bank account, my business account, and just seeing like all of a sudden there's a deposit and I say to myself, what's that for? And then I check more thoroughly and find out, that's a payment from such and such. So again, my goal has always been to every month have 100 different sources for revenue, which I'm not quite there yet. I think I'm at about 40 or something. I forget what the number is. But again, the goal here is 100 different sources of revenue. Who cares if it's 200 here, 300 there, 400? Who cares if it's $40? It will add up to real money, because assuming you could get $50 from each source, you do that from 100 sources, you got $5,000 a month coming in. That's automatic money. So I would encourage everyone in information marketing to do this. So just, let's try and get that. And I think that would help you too, Avish. I mean, that's, again, long-term, nothing short-term, long-term. That's how it's got to work. And I know that, that same thing is true. That's why I got interested in doing, putting work up on ClickBank. My contract with them expired. They have not renewed anything yet. But I mean, the ClickBank work, once you have something on ClickBank, that is, again, regular residual. By the way, have you seen their redesign that I helped create?
Yeah, I haven't been to the site in a while.
Yeah, well, I helped redesign give them all the information for the site redesign, and it's got a completely different look now. So this obviously is based on a lot of my recommendations. So have your passion grow your bank account, and they have different people here. I turn my winemaking hobby into a business by blah, blah, blah. Monetize your knowledge, monetize your audience, our platform, featured products, So they now have this whole thing is set up to help you make money. It's good stuff. So whether it's making money a little bit every month on ClickBank, making money from Web Marketing Magic, a little bit each month is the way to go here, rather than looking for the home runs and trying to do that, because I just don't think that's logical. Other things here. Let's see. What are we talking about? Okay, let's see. So looking at Avisha's numbers again. So we got about 2,600 opt-ins. So one of the things we're going to try and do is, I think that weekly is that's a good amount to mail people. Then we're going to change and create a somewhere in the middle, another sales offering of some sort. You're also going to be setting up some of the auto dollar, what do you call it? Affiliate relationships, like Web Marketing Magic. And I think that should help to get things going. Now, the other thing is, with 2,600 opt-ins, what's the opt-in rate been? Has it dropped? I mean, initially it was pretty good, like 8 to 10%. What is it now?
This past week was 3%. It had been, it kind of peaked at one point around 8%, but for the most part, it's been somewhere between 3 and 5% for most weeks.
Okay, so 4 to 5% opt-in rate. Which is, again, I'd say that's probably, that's like okay, average. Mm-hmm. So then, really, what the big thing here is obviously is they're first off, we got to get people. That's the traffic in the door initially, and that's some of the stuff we're trying to do with blogging. The next thing is the conversion. Getting those people, getting the opt-ins to buy something, and then obviously then having lots of products to sell them. One of the things you and I talked about, which I think we can get going with if you want, is let's start putting together, did you ask the list yet? You may want to do a SurveyMonkey thing on which particular areas. Remember we talked about personalizing the speaking product?
Yeah, the focus for entertainers or teachers or professors or whatever it is. Yeah.
So I think that it might be worth doing a SurveyMonkey thing, and for those of you who aren't familiar with SurveyMonkey is you can send out a 100-question survey to people and find out, which Avish will do, is which let's brainstorm what are the entertainers. This is, in other words, we're going to customize a course on speaking to various groups. One might be entertainers. The other is, give me some more. Teachers. What else? Who else? Entertainers, teachers.
Written down somewhere. I gotta find my notes.
Okay. So what we're doing here is we're coming up with a list. So it's a list of possible custom niches for speaking that we can create a custom product for. And they included entertainers, teachers, who else? We had, let's see, I forget, salespeople. Did we have salespeople? Avish, do you remember if salespeople was one of the groups?
That doesn't sound familiar. I think it's something like executives or managers.
Yeah.
Something like authors would probably be good because they're people who feel they.
Yep. So again, this is what I'm doing with Bill DeWeese, which he's been so busy we haven't actually been able to do the next one yet. But let that be the biggest problem. So, whatever the list is here, Avish and I will then, but then we'll go to, and what is it? Speaker. What's the one that sends them? What's the one you had? The original one that we copied. The one webinar site.
Oh, the speakingexperttelseminar.com. Which is kind of what you used as the basis for the Build Avish one.
Yep. So then what we're going to do here is we're going to create the Speaking Expert Teleseminar and do it specifically for each of these groups. So now the net result, so if somebody would say, well, why would you do that? Because somebody who goes to a site and finds a generic program on speaking is going to be much less apt to buy than someone, so your headline is how every entertainer can make a sizable part-time income as a speaker, or whatever exactly this headline ends up being. And then instead of entertainer, how every teacher, and if not that, how every author. And just we're going to create multiple versions of this event, and we're going to make money two ways. Number one is when people sort of sign up for, like down here, they will sign up to get, it'll be an option. Sign up for the free version or sign up to get the $97 version, which includes all the bonuses, full transcript, MP3 recordings. So let's just say that we got 4 people to buy. So we made $400 up front. And then on the back end, we now have an additional product that sells for $97. This, again, thinking long term, this can only produce more money. And our investment is a little bit of time to put together the site, to do the program, and once it's finished, it's done. I think it's worth every penny of it, Avish.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can put that on your list to come up, and let's just clone these. And we can use that cool cloning tool to do that. So the cool cloning tool.com will allow you to take a WordPress site and basically replicate it, then just change the domain name and change the content, and you've got a completely new site, and you can do this, and basically you get paid to create another product. So assuming we get 4 sales, we get $400 to create the next version. How every executive, because every time we do one, hopefully we get a few signups. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, we talked about this before. I just got to kind of put the outline of the page together.
Yeah, and I mean, I think all it is just cloning it and then just going in there and making the changes, and boom, it's it's just got to appeal. The only thing that's really got to change, I think, is the first paragraph, which is, hey, are you a this and that, blah blah blah. This first few things customized to each of those groups, and then we're set.
Yeah.
So let's have that as our next thing to do.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I got a question here from Scott Straub about personal Facebook. He's asking about Facebook, and I gotta be honest. Do you use your own? Do you have your own personal page, or do you have a fan page, whatever? You know what, Scott? I gotta be honest. I've seen very little business come in from Facebook. I just can't. People have told me that they generate a bunch of money. I just haven't seen it, and so I just use my own personal page to promote these webinars, to promote anything else I'm doing. And I assume that most of the people that are on my Facebook as friends are not really interested in all the business stuff that I have, so they just sort of ignore that. Whereas some people have a large percentage of their group, I guess, that are Facebook friends that are business oriented. Mine are not. Again, I haven't seen. Remember Avish back a few years ago, where someone claimed that their Facebook or Twitter thing would generate us business.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it produced $0 in revenue. So I mean, I just don't see it. You're welcome, Scott. Scott says thanks. I mean, that's just been my experience. Other people, again, have felt differently. Yeah, Avish. So let's see if we can get something done, and then maybe you can go over it and talk about it sometime next week or the week after.